Welcome to another episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. I am your host, Ricky Valera. On today's episode, we have a fun one in store for you as we are going to review two brand new films in theaters, The Meg 2 and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. We're going to break down our thoughts on the chaotic conversation of Wonder Woman 3. We're going to give our thoughts on the trailer, The Kill Room. And then, of course, we're going to top the show off with some recommendations and our favorite cereals. As always, I am joined by my partner here, Mr. Don Fisher. How are you, bud?
Yo, Big D. I'm good, man. It's back to school season, man. So getting prepared for this week. It's gonna be hectic. I'm already anticipating all the terrible traffic as everybody forgets that what school their kid went to and how to drive. Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy how. Well, actually, my kid started last week, so it is still pretty crazy that people just get all like, "Oh my God, the world's coming to an end," and it's just like everybody forgets how to drive and all those other things. But it's nice to hear that you're doing much better than the women's soccer team is. But my bad. I kid. That being said, it's an exciting show. There's some stuff that's going around. Obviously, that it's definitely interesting. Even with the strikes that are going on, there's still lots and lots of content to consume. That's just feels like nonstop madness consistently for us, as critics, and it's like trying to stay in touch, trying to stay in tune. And then, of course, sometimes, as we are critics, sometimes we don't get screeners of things, so we still support these films, go out and see them. So with The Meg and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, well, no, we did get a screener from Ninja Turtles. I just didn't get the chance to go to it. But even so, it's kind of crazy how, the balance here has been, pretty rough. And and speaking of which, kind of give us we're both guys that work full-time jobs. And then, we have fun and try to do this on top of that. It's not easy. So what is kind of your process like whenever you're writing a review with all of these other extracurricular activities kind of go on? Take people behind that process.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's luckily that most of the people that I work with, most of the people that around me, they know that like when I'm in like writer mode, or whether I'm on my lunch break, whether I'm on a break, whether I get home, or even if I get invited somewhere and they see me in the corner of my phone, like, hey, you already had to get this low down real quick. But no, usually what it is you have to find that balance, especially with school starting. It's kind of luckily we have some good reps we deal with that are able to get things to us ahead of time, so we can kind of plan ahead of time. Maybe if there's one I have to skip for some kind of school thing, I know ahead of time and I can know that, okay, I can see this one on this day, or there's 2 screenings for it, or this one is so close to the release date, I'll just go see it on a Thursday night possibly. And then, it's the hard part really is skipping hanging out with your friends sometimes, or missing some family functions that you're like, man, I wanted to go. Too bad I had to do something. But no, it's just trying to find the time. I do a lot of my best thinking real late at night. And I think a lot of critics, we all kind of keep vampire hours. So a lot of us, we benefit from, okay, I usually don't go to bed till about 12, 1:30. So once my family decides like, hey, we're going to sleep around 9 something, this is when I go, all right, I'm going to crank out a movie and see if I can at least get half a review done. And that's usually the daily process. I stay up late, I wake up early, and I just kind of thrive in being kind of sleepy. So it's a plus for me that's always kind of been like how I operate.
Yeah, the grind's crazy because it's like there's just an ever-loving it's August, September, kind of the calm before the storm for us, especially since we are heavily into the award scene. Both of us being part of Critics' Choice, both of us being part of the Music City Film Critic Association. So we've got awards bodies that we do attach ourselves to that can require a consistent time thing. Supportive significant others is always, helpful in those scenarios, you know what I mean? Because we always got to, we're always, especially during the fall season, we're definitely out and about a lot more than we are home. So, But that's one thing that's crazy, and I just kind of want to dissect it because the grind's hard, man. It is, and I think people lose sight of that sometimes when understanding like this is not all glitz and glamour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, most of the time when you see us out doing something that looks extravagant, we usually have come out of pocket. Like, it looks cool. You know, you might be at an award show. People are like, "Oh man, I can't believe you went." You're like, "Yeah, I spent $700."
Exactly.
It's never. It's not always what's cracked up to be. And if you don't like homework every week, you know, this is a very hard job for you. Like, I get people all the time that ask, like, "Oh man, that's such a cool thing you get to do," and I'm like, "Yeah, if you like writing essays 3-4 times a week, yeah, I mean." Yeah, you like it.
That's what I said to my daughter. I was like, you know, she's one day she's like, oh, well, I mean, you just write reviews. And I was like, all right, so this is what I want you to do. When we go watch this movie together, I want you to write at least most websites, at least 500 words.
Yep.
And she's like, oh. And I was like, exactly. Like, we ain't just sitting on the damn, like, we sit here and shoot the shit about these movies. Most of the time, we've already written 500, 600, 700 words about these movies. But yeah,
you definitely don't want to. You want to you want everything to sound and feel original too, and that's the hard part. Is that we in our minds, even if we see, and then what just happened, we've seen like 3 movies in a row that are all kind of similar. You wish you could say the same thing every time, but you can't. You want to, like, you know, take pride in your job and want to be respected by your peers and those who are going to read it. So you go, I got to give them something new, find an angle or whatever every single time, no matter if it's the same movies in a row.
Exactly. Perfect segue into our trailer of the week.
Yeah. So this one is, you know, since we are in this kind of lull area, we get to kind of focus more on some of these smaller studios that, you know, their names, you know, Shout, you've seen some of their movies. But this one, I feel like this film is going to be one of those ones that flies under the radar. It's not big fanfare, regardless of the names attached to it. But this one is The Kill Room, and it's a hitman teams up with an art dealer for a money laundering scheme that unwittingly turns him into an avant-garde sensation. So, what were your initial thoughts when I sent you that trailer?
My first initial thought was, what the fuck is The Kill Room? And what's crazy is I, for 5 seconds, thought it was this movie that I saw a trailer for in front of the Meg. And I didn't remember the name of the movie. So I was like, The Kill Room sounds like it could be that movie. Like, it could be that. But then I watched the trailer and realized it was not what I expected it to be. First off, first things first, the cool thing is Uma Thurman playing in a movie with her daughter. That's pretty cool. Her and Maya Hawke are in this movie together. I love Maya Hawke, so she can, like, really do no wrong. You got a pretty starts of the cast: Uma Thurman, Samuel Jackson, Maya Hawke. You've got some good names here. Honestly, I'm really conflicted. I thought this was one of the weirdest trailers I've ever watched because
same.
Like I'm watching it and I'm like, the purpose of a trailer is to sell you on wanting to see a film, right? And when you watch the trailer, first off, sometimes it's okay not to know what's going on, but this is not a trailer that you can't not, like, I can't understand. Like, 1 minute you're talking, just having a conversation, next minute some bag dude's putting a bag over somebody's head. I still don't know, like, outside of reading the synopsis, I don't know what this movie's about. It looks like a $20 movie. Like, I literally looks like that we could have shot this in our house. I don't like, the only thing that sells me on this movie is the cast. The trailer, I don't know. Like, it was just, what are they trying to sell us on? Like, I don't understand. Like, it was so weird.
Yeah, my wife said the same thing. I watched it again right before we started, and she was like, "So what's it about?" And I was like,
"Exactly."
I tried to explain it, and I almost didn't know. So I was just like, "Yeah, I mean, they're like money laundering, and then like this happened, and because it felt like a short film almost. The way it felt longer than it was supposed to feel. There was no like."
It was a 3-minute trailer. It felt like 45 minutes.
Yeah, and I was like, "This is." I can tell how the pacing of this film is going to go just by the trailer. It's going to feel long as shit, And it's probably going to be one of those ones with a lot of moving pieces to kind of confuse you. But your first initial thought about what's going on is probably what's really going on.
Yeah, hour and 38-minute runtime.
And it's going to feel like 2:15.
Right,
but yeah, like
the poster's kind of cool.
Yeah, and like you said, the cast is what brings you in. Other than that, I'm like, I don't know, because I read the synopsis before I watched the trailer, and I was like, oh, it sounds interesting, and then I'm like, okay, they got Sam in like this weird, ugly fake beard. I don't know why they did that. He don't need it. He could have just been himself. I don't know, man. I don't know what they're trying to do. But the weird thing to me though is that why is Sam Jackson always around some kind of hitman type of story? I'm like, yo, is he trying to tell us something? There's something we don't know, that he's like a secret Hollywood spy that like, works for the government to pick off like secret spies from other countries that we don't know about, because he is awfully good at playing this role.
Also, real quick, I was looking at who wrote the film and directed the film. First off, I realized who directed it in their last directed film. The last directed film was like that Friendsgiving movie, and it was bad. But like, who do these people know? Like, that's who I have. Like, I don't understand how these. I've never heard of either one of these people, and it's kind of weird that they're just. You have a pretty loaded cast to be. Yeah, I don't know. This is like, how do they sell this? Was it maybe it's the low budget shot in a few days type of thing? Because
right, maybe.
WWE Liv Morgan makes her film debut in The Killing Room. I didn't even know she was in the trailer.
I wish she was.
I didn't even realize that. I don't know. But I just want to throw it out here that Dom's like 0 for like 50 and sending.
No, look. Yeah, the only kind of hopes I have is that because
that's better than the trailer. Me too.
Yeah, because since they signed on for it, it's like, okay, maybe they saw something in the script that wasn't shown. Maybe we're gonna be blown away and be like, this is the best low budget, high budget film we've ever seen. But it looks a little dry. It needs some kind of seasoning, butter, something.
It needs something, yeah, for sure. And just to look ahead real quick before we dive into the news of the week, we are going to be tackling the next week's show. We have a screening upcoming for The Lost Voyage of Demeter, which looks something. It looks interesting. I don't even know if we didn't cover this trailer on the show, so I haven't watched it yet. But
I saw it and I'm very confused by it. I don't. It's hard to really tell what it's completely about.
Supernatural horror film. That just sounds right up my alley. I'm looking forward to talking about that next week. But I mean, whatever. I'm excited. But that's what we'll be covering next week. And but news of the week. This should be fun because I've got quite a lot to say about it. All right, the news of the week. We saw an interview done, which I plead with a lot of people to stop asking comic book questions in the middle of interviews that aren't about comic book movies. But Gail got it, said that she has Gadot, whatever you want to say, sat down and has already talked to James Gunn about Wonder Woman 3. Dom, I have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to let you have the floor.
So I'm not against it per se. I love seeing Gal on screen. However, if you're restarting this DC universe, do you not start from the ground up and just everybody's recast? Like, I mean, I don't know if it's because it's like she looks the same age, or you just can't think of anybody else to play this character that's going to be able to carry, or maybe she's the quarterback. Maybe they're like, hey, we need a veteran as we start over. She's going to be our person. But it seems like we keep hearing rumors of different people who've played superheroes or another superhero in the DC universe coming. I don't know. So, but I think you should start over if you're going to start over and cast somebody else. Because, it's going to be, people are going to say, I can't see anybody else playing her, but she's only played her like, 4 or 5 times. It'll be okay. We can quickly move on. We've seen a million Batmans. We've seen multiple Supermen. So Yeah, start over. I don't know why they're trying to take this route again. And maybe we're going to get a new storyline where somehow she passes the torch and we have, I don't know what they're going to do. This is where the area of DC Comics where I'm like, I don't know what the storyline's going to be, but yeah, they should start it over.
I'm giving James Gunn a rope because DC has a more checkered past than it deserves. There's some good DC movies. There's some bad ones, Aquaman, but there is some Wonder Woman 84. But there's some really strong feelings I have here because James Gunn has bought himself a lot of grace for me because of the products that he's brought to the table. I loved the Suicide Squad. I thought it was fantastic.
It's so good.
Peacemaker is so good. You know what I mean? Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, I enjoyed. 3 was whatever. But if we're going to do this reboot, and if you're going to say Henry Cavill can't come back as Superman, if you can't have so-and-so back as Aquaman or whatever that, you can't have The Rock back as Black Adam. You can't have all these ancillary pieces back, but you're going to bring back Gail as Wonder Woman. I just want a full reboot. I think this is a terrible idea. I don't hate the idea of maybe sprinkling in, you said, the passing of the torch thing. I kind of like that maybe a little bit. But I just really hope that James Gunn doesn't go down this path because, like I said, he's got a leash. And it's like I'm already I don't give a shit about superhero movies anymore as is because, they've become so redundant. We've already had 65 and a half time space capsule movies. You know what I mean? I don't really need that in my life. And we still have Blue Beetle, Aquaman. There's still a lot of pieces left of the old regime that's set to come out. So it's definitely something I don't want to happen. I don't want to see Gail as Wonder Woman ever again, ever, ever, ever again. And I didn't hate her as Wonder Woman. I thought she was a strong Wonder Woman. I enjoyed her. I think she's a solid actress and she's great for this role. And I think the first film is fantastic. But I prefer never to see her in that role ever again, honestly. I just don't care. I prefer not to see, Superman on my screen ever again because I think it's the worst character ever. And the thing about it is, it's not to say that Superman is so terrible. I just feel like he can't be on the screen with other superheroes. He can't. He's the most dominant superhero ever. He's next to Batman. Batman whooped his ass. Come on, stop it.
It does make it really weird when you when you get in these online conversations or someone makes a video. I just saw one where it was Saitama versus Omni-Man versus Superman versus Homelander. And it's these guys don't need anybody's help. So it always kind of feels why y'all here? Unless they're fighting somebody like Darkseid or Doomsday, who they made kind of weak. I don't know what you do. Is he always going to have solo movies? It's almost kind of when you really think about it, it's why does he need a Justice League? He could do this shit by himself.
Exactly. That's always been my problem and the thing about it is, it's also I would like to think about this for a minute. Can we just make movies? They don't all have to be intertwined into into a bubble wrap. You know what I mean? We have that show. What is that show called? That just Secret Invasion or whatever the hell.
Yeah.
I stopped. That thing is $200 million. They siphoned money.
It crumbled. It crumbled.
It's $200 million shit show of a project. I'm very excited about Loki season 2 because Loki's actually a good character, and I love the ancillary pieces to that. And I'm interested to see kind of where they go with a certain character on that show too. But I'm definitely over. I don't know, man. I'm just the Secret Invasion thing. I watched the first 3 episodes that we got, and I was just if I never watch this ever again, I don't care. And then the final episode, I saw some clips on Twitter because people just can't resist themselves anymore.
I know.
And but then I watched the clip and I'm I'm glad I stopped watching that. This clip of Emilia Clarke turning into whatever the fuck she turned.
Yeah.
That was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. And then apparently Don Cheadle's character doesn't know that Iron Man's dead or some shit.
Yeah.
Just stop.
They kind of fucked, especially with Gaia being the strongest character now because she has all the genes of all the Avengers and some bad guys, but because they dropped the ball, because that would have been the perfect time to kind of nod at the Fantastic Four, because if you're familiar with Super Skrulls, that's what their power, why they're Super Skrulls. They have the ability of all the Fantastic Four. So I don't know why they didn't do this. They had a perfect time to do it, as we're hearing all the time rumors of who's being casted in the fucking Fantastic Four. So I don't know what they were doing. I had high hopes at first after the first episode. I was like, "Oh, a little spy thriller."
I enjoyed. Cool. I thought, yeah, I agree with you. I thought it was.
And then it just was like, yeah, man, what are y'all doing? Like, it's almost like they wanted to make a movie, and then they were like, maybe we can't. How do we condense this down? And they took a whole bunch of shit out, added some unnecessary shit, and I don't know, man.
It sounded like it was a money laundering scheme.
Nothing with Olivia Colman should do that bad.
No, God, no.
Y'all tarnished her record right now. What are y'all doing?
Right. She's like fucking Pitch Perfect out here, and y'all shit. Yeah, it's so bad. I don't know, man. It's just they're trying to they keep failing to recapture everything that made the initial movie so strong. And it's like we're trying to introduce so many different new characters that nobody gives a shit about. It's almost to the point where it's like you just do a whole soft reboot and you cast a new Iron Man, cast a new Captain America, like something, or you just never make any more Marvel projects, and that'd probably make me happy too. But
I think what they have to do is what everyone's been telling them to do since they got the property, and you make X-Men. That's all we want to see. I end up loving, Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, but I wanted motherfucking Wolverine, Beast, Gambit, Jubilee, Storm, Cyclops, damn it, Professor X, Magneto. I want
a new Wolverine too. I don't want fucking Hugh Jackman back. God, the fact that Deadpool's and you know what's crazy to me? I don't care if it's a fucking time warp and we see him in the past with Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. No, you're tarnishing everything Logan was. Like that movie is one of the greatest comic book movies. And what's crazy, it's not just one of the greatest comic book movies ever made. It's one of the best movies made of like the last 20 years. Like if I did like a top 50, Logan would probably no doubt about be in that of like the last 20 years. It's an incredible film. And like, just stop. Like, you're right. X-Men, Fantastic Four. God, if I don't ever see another Fantastic Four casting headline or rumor, I would be the happiest man alive. Like Kevin Feige just cast the people so that people will shut up about the casting of the people. Like, golly, I don't know, man. Man, we're on a roll here, so let's dive right into our movie reviews.
So I want to start this one off. We'll save the best for last. We'll put it that way. Let's start with Meg 2, The Trench. Normally I'd read the synopsis, but this shit long as hell. I remember when I was putting in my review, and I was like, why did they make this so long? I gotta kind of cut this down. But either way, you got Jason Statham's character Jonas. He's doing his eco save the world shit. They want to further discover new species after they discover the megalodon. They have to go down in this trench where there's something that they didn't expect, and then we get some B-movie shit that was disappointing. I'll let you go first.
Meg 2 falls in the category of an unneeded sequel that failed to capture everything the original made so much fun about this movie.
Yeah.
Like, my biggest problem with this movie is, first, it's 2 hours long. Why the fuck is this movie 2 hours long? There's a solid 45 minutes in the middle of this movie that you could have cut completely out, and it wouldn't have missed a single beat in anything.
Nope.
A few plot holes I have a problem with. You have this Meg that's in your system that you're training, right? That you have captive in this spot. It escapes and no alarms went off. Like, what the fuck? You're spending billions with a B of dollars to train and figure out this thing. It smashes this one gate. You're telling me that they wouldn't have it a little bit better captive thing there? It smashes a gate on like the first try, escapes. Nobody knows that the Meg is gone, and then out of nowhere they're like, "Oh no!" On the radar, is that the Meg? It's the Meg. Oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, stop. Like, come on, man. It was so bad. And then another thing was, I thought the octopus was cool as shit.
Yeah.
And what did we get? We didn't get an introduction to the octopus. We didn't get oh my God. We didn't even get oh my God. We got oh my God. Here's a 7,000-year-old The Meg part 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 over here. But we don't even get like a holy shit. This octopus is like 17 times the size of a normal octopus.
You didn't get like, oh, that's a kraken or nothing.
Right, exactly. Can we get like a name for it? Can we get something? No, instead we introduce it, it kills a few people, and then it dies like this. Like a snap of the fingers, it dies.
One of the smartest animals in the ocean.
Exactly.
And it gets nerfed like super hard.
And then these little creatures, right? The little creature. I like the creatures, the little dinosaur, little lizard-looking things. They were cool, but they were so inconsistent. 1 minute they're like attacking people, the next minute they're like, "What's up, man? You want to get a drink?" Like, what is like? I have no clue what happened here. The last 30 minutes was a lot of fun. I'm not gonna lie about that. I did have fun with the last, but like you could have cut 45 minutes out. Had the beginning, had the middle. The stuff underground and in the trench was kind of cool too. That stuff was kind of cool. My brother said this perfectly. Like at some point it became like the Jason Statham combat movie, like it always does for some reason. And it's because it's like Jason Statham, so we gotta have him beat some people up or whatever. You know what I mean? He's gotta hold his breath for 45 minutes. I don't know, man. It was just. I wanted to be dumb fun. And it wasn't even dumb fun until like the last 30 minutes. But the first hour and a half is so just whatever that I don't really care what happened.
Yeah, if the whole movie, I think I put this in my view, if the whole movie was like the last 30 minutes, oh, we're golden. We're talking 100%. Good shit. Oh man, you remember this? But and this is the thing, if this movie was the first Meg, we wouldn't have this issue. But it's the fact that this is the sequel. We've established the Meg. We want to see what's going on. We want to see bigger kills, more eating, more attacks, more something. And you get a sprinkle of it in the beginning. And then it's just a bunch of a bullshit storyline that
it's like Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
The movie's called Jurassic Park. We want to see dinosaurs eat dinosaurs and people. The movie's called The Meg. Not Jason Statham. We want to see the creatures eat people. Period.
Yeah, they should have just went ahead and got one of the writers or directors from like Sharknado, because they would have made this shit fun at least. Because like we wanted to, you got to lean in to if you're a B monster movie, lean in and let it be fun. And the story would have been decent if we weren't expecting this to be, this Godzilla versus Kong type situation, and that ain't what we got.
Exactly. Hang on, we got a question here. Can I ask you something? Davy Crockett's here. Oh boy, here we go. that should be definitely interesting. You can ask any question you want to, buddy. But yeah, I agree, man. It's just like I don't know, man. It's tough. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. It's just tough because it should have been way better and it wasn't way better. But
yeah,
what's the other?
It's Jason Statham. You're like, man, I want to like this so bad. I like Cliff Curtis. I like Paige Kennedy. And Paige and Cliff were kind of my favorite parts. The little back and forth, the little like trying to save themselves, even though they're not fighters. Like it was fun, but it was short-lived.
What was that guy's name?
You talking about was it Wu Jing?
No. Hang on. Paige Kennedy. Yeah. My problem with Paige Kennedy is DJ it was just so written, so typical for these style of
Yeah,
movies. Like,
yeah,
it's so cliche. I feel like I wanted more from him. Like, instead of this random, oh my god, he breaks into this superhero thing, like, and then like sucked at the same time. Like, he trained to be this badass, and then just like, oh, here's a gun. Like, it was so, I don't know,
I
man.
think they were honestly what I feel like what they did is that if you look from the first movie to this one, and I follow him on Instagram, he's gone through this weight loss journey and gotten like he was ripped at one point, and then he got bigger, and then he got ripped again. I think they were trying to like play off that, like, oh, he looks different, so let's make him, kind of this subtle badass,
Yeah,
but still keep him goofy. But
yeah,
yeah, like you said, they did make him very much like that cliche type character. Like, oh, that's the guy. You don't
yeah,
expect him to
exactly.
be, and then he just surprises you. You're like, oh, cool.
Yeah,
He just happens to have a lot of charisma.
exactly. All right, let's talk a
Yeah,
good thing now.
let's go to our next one. The one that it's I've been waiting on this all year long. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem. Um, After years of being sheltered from the human world, the Turtle brothers set out to win the hearts of New Yorkers and be accepted as normal teenagers. Their new friend, April O'Neil, helps them take on a mysterious crime syndicate, but they soon get in over their heads when an army of mutants is unleashed upon them. Man, look, I've been a Turtles fan for so long. I think the last show I talked about, I've watched the original one hundreds of times. The second one is amazing. I wasn't a big fan of some of the newer reboots, I guess you want to call them, but this one is easily one of the funnest movies of the year. From the voice casting to the way that they have, so Jackie Chan is Splinter, and we all know Jackie Chan has a very specific martial arts style within his films. He doesn't like to use guns. If they're there and it's easy to get, he don't need them. And they portray that in one of these scenes, and I thought that was such a great addition to, like, oh, we have this legend, and let's show you exactly like how he would be if he was this person. The turtles are actually teenagers, and they're saying, like, Riz and Sus, and so it kind of appeals to this new generation, but also gives us all the nostalgia that we wanted with some of the references and just the overall like energy of the Ninja Turtles. And the story, I mean, it may not be like, I mean, it's the start of a new universe, so the story's gonna be a little simple, but we got a origin story without being this same old kind of, it's reinvented. A lot of people when we're getting these origin stories, they're done in a different way. This was done very well. Seth Rogen and whoever he teams up with whenever he's doing these comic movies shows is phenomenal. I love the hip hop aspect of it. I've been playing. I used to love Annie Up, and I forgot about it. After that movie, I've been playing that song every day because that song is so hard. I love the April character and how they did her. But I mean, overall, I mean, it's hard not to like this movie. I mean, if I can find somebody who really genuinely doesn't like this movie, I really want to know, like, what's your beef? Like, put it on the pizza because, like, you're lying to yourself. Like, get happy because this movie's great.
So, I grew up the biggest Ninja Turtle fan in all of the world. Like, the biggest Ninja Turtle fan in all the world. So, like, you've seen the various reincarnations of these over the years, and I'm always seated, and I'm always watching, and I'm always locked in, and I'm always ready to go, right? So obviously, I was a little nervous going into this because you never want something to, like, this is my childhood, it's like my fucking childhood.
Yeah.
But one of the most brilliant things that they did was cast actual teenagers in the role of the Ninja Turtles, because you're right, you have an origin story that has been told quite a few times in the Ninja Turtle universe, but this one felt a little fresher. It's all in the same vein of what the original story is, but with this, it just felt fresh. It felt new. It felt fun. It felt different. It was a lot of fun, but it was an origin story without being an origin story at the same time. I didn't go through all of those, different things that needed to be there. Io Derby is incredible as April O'Neil. Probably my favorite part of the movie, just because she was fun, she was spunky. I love Seth Rogen and John Cena as Bebop and Rocksteady. They were hilarious. I'm going to be honest. I had one problem with this film. I didn't love Jackie Chan as Splinter. I know I'm like in the I'm like kind of in the minority when I say that, but I didn't. It's not that I hated it. I just don't know if I loved it. Like it was just. I don't know what.
They made him the worrisome dad instead of like what we're used to. Is even if you didn't make him a complete badass, like we didn't get like the attitude. We got the fighting, but he was kind of like, bro, like is like why make him like a wimp?
Yeah, and sure he redeems that part when he like kicks ass and takes names at the end of the movie. I just felt like you kind of 21st, 22nd century, like 21st centuryized him a little bit, and I didn't hate it. And the thing about it is, you're right. I might not be Jackie Chan. It might be just the writing of Splinter that might have really kind of made me struggle. But that's literally the only problem. Ice Cube had me fucking rolling on several different occasions. Dude was hilarious. But if we get 5 more of these, I won't be sad. Like I will be the happiest for it. Like I'm ready because like even the little teaser at the end with Shredder, like it's also cool to have a Ninja Turtles movie and not have Shredder in it. Like that was kind of cool too.
Yeah.
Because it kind of built to Shredder, who like, Shredder's a big fucking deal. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a big deal to the overall thing. I recently rewatched the OG ones, the ones from the late 80s, early 90s, and well, not the third one because nobody ever watches that one. No. But it's just they're a lot of fun. I had a blast with this. I hope it makes millions. It made like 45 million the first 5 days, so I'm excited about it. Budget was only around 70 million, so like that's pretty awesome because that means we're already going to be looking at potentially making its money back, which is really cool. So I definitely see us getting another one of these, and I'm ready for it because like it's so much fun.
Yeah, and that animation style, man. I love the way like
best animated movie of the year, baby. Let's go.
It kind of looked like Wendell and Wild meets like Mitchell's versus the Machines. Like it's the way that
animation team from Mitchell's and Machines did this too. So
yeah. I mean the way that you have like the scribbles and shading as like smoke, but it still looks like sophisticated. Like it's crazy. I wish I knew more about like the VFX side of these things so I could fully articulate what they're doing or even understand what they're doing. Because it's crazy. Like
the color palette, the colors and the vibrantness of the colors, but how they move, like it's they don't get paid enough. I saw Jeff Rose said something in an interview, and I think it was like a direct shot at like the Ninja Turtles, but he's like, we gave our FX team plenty of time to do what they needed to do with the film without overworking them or whatever because of Spider-Man, which I haven't seen into the whatever it's called. I haven't seen the Spider-Man movie. I'll see it at some point, but I'm all on board. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles winning the Oscar. Let's make this fucking happen because I think it'd be awesome.
They're definitely the two front runners for animation.
Honestly,
I like Nimona, but Nimona don't have a shot when it comes to these two styles.
So Seth Rogen's an executive. Is he? He is PGA. So I'm wondering if Ninja Turtles would win the Oscar, would Seth Rogen win an Oscar? Because I think that would be pretty fucking cool. It would be interesting to know if it would be like what did he win it for? Well, he won it for being producer on Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. That'd be fucking baller.
Yeah, I mean, as a
what won last year?
Rogen,
what won last year?
Was it
Pinocchio?
Yeah, I would love for something like this that like has a good story. It doesn't have to be like overly deep or dramatic. It's a fun time. Everybody loves it, from critics to fans. Like this is something that it's gonna be a shame. I mean, like I said, it's gonna be between this and Spider-Man. I don't think anything else that comes out later is gonna touch these two. From impact to just the way the films look.
Elemental's got them legs, though. Elemental's got them legs, though. It's gonna
it does for some reason.
Oh, stop it. Stop it. Yeah, I enjoyed Ninja Turtles. If you're looking for a reason to go see it, please go see that. Please support this movie. I understand you might want to see Oppenheimer and Barbie for the 73rd time, but those movies are at $500 million and $1 billion. They don't need any more money. Support some of these other films too, please.
Yeah.
So. All right. Some watch recommendations on the radar this week. Dom, what do you have for our viewers at home on the movie and TV front?
So this week, I went old school again on the movie recommendation, and this is a hood classic. It's a somewhat of a true story, and this is one of those films that if you watch it and then go back and listen to like a lot of old New York hip hop and listen for some of these references, it's gonna make the whole kind of part of the culture come alive for you. But it's Paid in Full. Paid in Full is one of my favorite movies. Wood Harris, Mekhi Phifer, Cameron. Wood Harris is one of my favorites. Something about that guy's like calm and cool all the time. I just love when I see him on screen. But this movie is crazy. It's friendships and kidnappings and drug dealing and backstabbing and just ruthlessness of the drug game in the late 80s, I believe, mid 80s, early 90s of New York. Like I said, it is loosely based on, I'll say, on some real people that are referenced in a lot of New York hip hop. You know, Jay-Z, Nas, all these guys have mentioned some of these guys at some point. But yeah, great movie. I've watched it. Let me know what you think. And then my show, I think I mentioned this show about to have its last season. I just watched the first 2 episodes, and that's Reservation Dogs. I feel like this show, it doesn't get talked about enough, but except for critics. I feel like we're the only people that talk about this show, and my wife, because she loves the show too. But this is a perspective we just never got before. You know, this is teenagers on a reservation dealing with their culture, their family's past, their future, and just that whole culture that we just don't see on TV enough. You don't know like how Native people feel, how they talk, how their influences and the things that they've influenced, and then dealing with living in a world in a country that looks at you different when you were here the whole time. So it's just interesting, fun, funny. I mean, it's hard not to watch this show and not want to use some of the lingo because it's so damn cool. Just the things they put together. I mean, even just like calling someone a shit ass. I fucking love it. Like, but this is the 3rd final season. First 2 episodes are out now. I think every Wednesday, I think a new episode drops. It's on Hulu. If you haven't watched it, go binge the first 2 seasons and then start this new one.
I've got my own personal issues with that movie or TV series, but it has nothing to do with the actual TV series because I've never seen a TV series. I want to watch it one day. My recommendations of the week come from the TV shows from Prime Video. I'm going to recommend The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart. First 3 episodes dropped on Prime Video. I will say this with a massive, massive, massive trigger warning. If abuse, if assault, domestic violence, or anything like that triggers you, this is not the show for you. Like, this is such a heavy, heavy, heavy show. Like, it's incredible how heavy this show is. It's strong, but it's really good, very well acted. I've seen most of the season already. I've enjoyed it while it's been hard to watch. There's been some solid good performances in it. I'm gonna go back-to-back TV performances. I'm gonna go with a TV show that is airing in season 2 right now. One of the main star of the show isn't in the greatest lights right now for some things he said recently at a convention, but I'm gonna say Heels season 2. It's one of my favorites. Like, it's literally season 2 of Heels is by far one of the best episodes, like best seasons of TV. On if you're a wrestling fan and you haven't watched Heels, like you're missing out. Like this is such an incredibly written story. I understand Stephen Amell might have said some things that ruffled some feathers. I've got my own opinion on that stuff, but I'm not going to say anything about that right now. But Alexander Ludwig plays a Spade in that. He's fantastic. Kelly Berglund, she's brilliant in season 2. Chris Bauer plays Wild Bill Hancock, and he is fantastic in that role. If you have not watched Heels, I've seen all of season 2 already. It's brilliant. It's fantastic. I'm excited. I can't wait for more people to talk about it. I really hope that Amel's comments don't overshadow the show because it can got caught up in that. It took a little while for this series to be released, but I'm really rooting for season 3 because it's a great show.
Yeah, I've been wanting to see. I keep seeing trailers for it, and as I've slowly started getting back into wrestling, of course, as I'm watching like SummerSlam, the commercials are coming on for it. I'm like, oh man, it looks good. I mean, and I like the Glow, and Glow is just more of like a comedy thing. And so every time I see this show come on, I'm like, oh, okay.
Dude, it's so good. Like, it's so good. Like, season 2, like, I love season 1, but season 2 is I was talking to somebody, first episode of season 2 was, like, as close as a perfect episode you'll watch on TV this year. Like, it's such a, like, go back and watch season 1. Like, it's worth binging.
It's on Stars?
Yes.
Yeah, and let's not forget, before we had our Apple TV Plus, before, we had, at the same time as HBO, Stars was the one putting out like big shows.
Bangers.
And they didn't follow quickly enough with the streaming model, so they kind of fell by the wayside. But it seems like they still got something in the chamber.
Yeah, watch Heels, please. I need a third season. Dom, I need you to watch it so we can talk about it, especially since you are a wrestling fan. So
right.
I love what Dom brought to the table this week for the ranking episode this week. We're going to talk about our top 3 favorite cereal rankings. Dom, I'm just going to have you rip the Band-Aid off. Give me 3 through 1.
So I am an avid cereal eater. If there's a new box of cereal on the shelf, I'm probably buying it as long as it's not something that's like high in fiber. That's going to make me shit my brains out. But number 3, Fruity Pebbles. Number 2, Frosted Flakes. And number 1, Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
So I'll give you my rankings, and once after I give my rankings, we can dissect this because I feel like we could do like there might be a day where Dom and I just do an entire episode on cereal because I love cereal. I feel like I could do like a top 20 probably. I could probably legitimately get a top 20 out of this. My top 3, 2 of the 3 are similar to yours. 3 Fruity Pebbles. Waffle Crisp is number 2. If you've never had Waffle Crisp, it is so fucking good. It's so close to being number 1. But CT Crunch, as some people said, or Cinnamon Toast Crunch, is the greatest cereal that has ever fucking existed. So the thing about this is there's so many different, and it's crazy. There's so many layers that go into a good cereal. Is obviously the taste, but then the milk is just as important. The milk after drinking the milk after. First, also I want to say this: anybody out there that pours the milk then cereal, you should be reported to the FBI. Okay?
Stefan.
Like, that shouldn't be a thing. Also, my grandmother used to eat her cereal with her orange juice. Also very disgusting, very gross. But the thing about this is so shredded wheat almost made my list. Love shredded wheat. Love Frosted Flakes. Frosted Flakes is like that OG flavor. Always good. Like, I even like the low-key Honey Nut Cheerios. You know what I mean? Big fan. But Fruity Pebbles, this is the thing. The problem with Fruity Pebbles is this. I can like demolish an entire box in like one sitting. Like you eat it and it's like, I don't know what it is about the cereal, but it doesn't make you fill, right? When you eat it, so you don't feel, so you just go back for another bowl and like the box is empty. Like you're just like, oh shit.
So
like,
look, this is my trick with Fruity Pebbles. This is my trick. So once you pour your first bowl, once you're done with the cereal, you stop, pour a little more. Once you finish that, stop, and you just go until the milk is gone. So you don't you get more than you normally would with another cereal, but you're not gonna kill the whole box because I do the same thing. Man, so that's my rules. Once the milk is gone, it's a wrap.
Yeah, it's crazy to me because man, there's so many damn good cereals. I'm telling you, we're gonna come back. I'm telling you, folks. I'm telling you, Dom and I are gonna have an entire episode dedicated to just
Look,
cereals because
my homies literally when they see a new box of cereal at the store, they text a picture to the group chat and they're like, "Dom," because they already know like I've either tried it and they want to know, or let me say less. I'm about to go get it right now.
exactly. I'm the same way because there's so many different kinds of cereal. Like it's crazy to me because like I love all. I mean, I'm thinking like so many like Crunch Berries, so good. Like
Yeah,
man, Captain Crunch. Like you have. I like Wheaties. I'm a big Wheaties guy. They're not the greatest flavor, but I feel like they hit the spot sometimes.
I had Oreo O's in my honorable mentions.
Oh man, it's so good too. And then you have oh man, Cinnamon Life, so good.
Yep.
Man,
That's the texture. That's the
it
texture.
is.
The texture is so good on that one.
Peanut butter Captain Crunch ones, those are so good too. Oh my god! I'm telling you, folks, just stay tuned for Dom and I. We're gonna have a whole. It's gonna be the cereal podcast where you just watch us eat cereal and try.
And it's
cereals.
funny you mentioned peanut butter Captain Crunch. I have a very distinct memory when I think about it. My friend Matt, when I was a kid in Utah, I stayed over his house, and that's what he always ate was peanut butter Captain Crunch. And he had braces, and he didn't like the way that like you would get in his braces or cut his mouth, so he'd always take a spoonful and kind of crunch it up against the side of the bowl and then eat it. It always stuck in my head. I don't know why. And I even, of course, I tried it one day and I was like, why is he doing this? And I think it was just like it cuts the roof of your mouth, and
that's funny because it does. Like I can't eat too much of like the Captain Crunch of any of them, the peanut butter, because it does fuck with the top of your mouth. But real quick before we go, Dom, give us a recap, them top 3 cereals right off the rip.
Fruity Pebbles, Frosted Flakes, and you already know Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Fruity Pebbles, Waffle Crisp, Cinnamon Toast Crunch at the top of my list. Folks, let us know your favorite cereals in the comments. If like I feel like if your Mount Rushmore doesn't have Cinnamon Toast Crunch on it, you don't belong in the conversation talking about cereal.
You're wrong.
It's wrong. It's the best cereal. Like top to bottom, the best cereal ever. All right, folks, that is it for this week's episode of the Popcorn People Podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening each and every week. We're enjoying ourselves here. If you have any suggestions about any rankings or anything like that, hit us up. We will gladly take those suggestions in. But next week, we'll talk about the lost voyage of Dracula or Count Dracula, whoever is what's going to be on the menu next week. But we'll talk to you guys next week.